Hello students, last time we have explained about the definition and the introduction of the agricultural pest and their control together with six different type of pest such as agricultural pest, stored grain pest, veterinary pest, public health or household pest, structural pest and the forest and the nursery pest. Today we are going to explain the next point, that is study of crop pest with respect to marks of identification, life cycle, nature of damage and the control measures. Among the different crop pest, the first crop pest which we are going to explain today, that is Jowar stem borer. Friends, Jowar stem borer is uh, belonging to phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta, order Lepidoptera, family Pyralidae, genus Chilo, species Zunilus or Partillus. So the Jowar stem borer is most important major pest of the Jowar crop. Since Jowar is the most important staple food crop of Maharashtra state, it is infested by the major pest called as Jowar stem borer and causing much of the damage or loss of the Jowar crop in Maharashtra. Jowar is the most important staple food crop of the Maharashtra state. Besides being staple food crop of the people, it also supplies very good fodder for the cattle. It is cultivated in Kharif, Rabi and also in a hot weather condition. Jowar stem borer is one of the major pests of the jowar. This pest is generally observed in the early growth of the crop and even after the ear head formation. Java stem borer is active throughout the year, but the infestation is more predominant or noticed on rabi and hot weather crops. The hybrid varieties of the jawar are more susceptible to this pest. Then regarding distribution of the jawar stem borer, it occurs throughout India. The Jowar stem borer is commonly called as spotted stalk borer or pink borer. Identification marks. The adult moth is medium-sized insect with a 3 cm width with a wing span. Its forewings are straw or light brown in color with a numerous or a number of shining brown spots on the margin, and hind wings are white and papery. The caterpillars or larvae are dirty white in color with a dark brown head and with a mandibulate or chewing type of mouth parts. Many dark spots are appeared on the body of the larvae or caterpillar. Mature caterpillars are measures about 12 to 20 millimeter in length and shows four broad and patchy strips on the body. So this is what the identification marks of the adult and larvae of the jawar stem borer. Then host plants. This is the major pest of the jawar and maize, but also recorded on bajra, ragi and other grasses. Then we'll explain the life cycle of the jawar stem borer. A female lays about 50 to 300 number of eggs in clusters arranged in two rows on the undersurface of the leaves of the jawar plant during April to May. Eggs are cream white in color. They hatch into the young caterpillars in about 6 days of incubation period. Means the fertilized eggs laid by the female moth undergoes embryonic development, passes through cleavage, blastulation, gastrulation, and getting transformed into a larva or the caterpillar within the period of 6 days of the incubation. The young caterpillars on hatching feeds on tender leaves for a day or two and then bores into the central shoot. The larval stage lasts for about 3 to 4 weeks and have normally 5 molds. So the larval development taking place in the inside of the stem or the shoot, and it undergoes 5 moltings, and during each molt it is transformed into somewhat advanced form or the stage of the development and passing through 5 instars within a period of 3 to 4 weeks and getting mature at the end of the larval development and become a fifth instar or the mature stage of the caterpillar. Then it is transformed into the next phase of life cycle called as pupation. Pupation takes place inside the stem and it lasts for 7 to 10 days. So the pupation is the dormant phase of the life of the larva or the insect, during which several physiological, morphological changes taking place in larva, and the vermiform larva is transformed into the adult insect form with a head, thorax and abdomen, that is the three distinct divisions of the body of insects. So all these changes, that is vermiform larva, caterpillar getting transformed into the adult stage, and this happens during the inactive period or the inert stage, inactive stage of the life cycle or the dormant phase of life cycle in the pupa or in the cocoon or silicon galleries, and this happens within a period of 7 to 10 days and getting transformed into the adult moth. The adult lives for 2 to 4 days. The pest is generally active from June to November, and about 4 generations are completed in a year. The pest hibernates in the larval stage in stubbles during unfavorable period. So during unfavorable conditions of the air, maybe during winter or so, the larvae remain hidden under side of the stubbles during the unfavorable conditions of the year. So this is about the life cycle. Now we'll explain the life cycle of the Jowar stem borer with a diagram. So in a uh, life cycle, the fertilized eggs or the female on mating or copulation get fertilized and thus become capable of laying fertilized eggs, and female lays 50 to 300 number of eggs on the underside of the leaves in the form of cluster or two rows, and then it undergoes the embryonic development on the availability or the presence of suitable temperature and humidity in the environment, and it continue or begin with its embryonic development, passes through cleavage, blastulation, gastrulation, and getting transformed into a larva within a period of 6 days of the incubation. The larva or the caterpillar, which is present inside the stem, undergoes its larval development. So immediately after hatching, the young stage or the first instar larva starts its feeding onto the tender or soft leaves of the jawar plant, and then burrows in the stem, and then feeding onto the central portion of the jawar shoot or the stem, and during which it undergoes several transformation in its larval stage or the caterpillar, passing through 5 moltings or 5 instars and getting transformed into the mature larva within a period of 3 to 4 weeks. Then mature larva undergoes a pupation, that is the dormant phase of life cycle, during which several morphological or physiological changes taking place in larva and get transformed into the adult insect form or a moth with a head, thorax, abdomen, two pairs of wings, three pairs of legs, mouth parts, antennae, all the morphological features of the insect or the adult moth are developed during the period of pupation, that is a period of 7 to 10 days of pupation, and get transformed into the adult stage, and adult lives for 2 to 4 days. So in figure, the small figure shows the diagrammatic representation of the life cycle of the Jowar stem borer. So the adult moth, which lives only for 2 to 3 days, and during which it undergoes its breeding activities. So males and females mates with one another and facilitating the breeding activity, that is the transfer of male gametes to the female genitalia, and that will then allow the process of fertilization of the eggs. Then female lays eggs, uh, that is 50 to 300 number of eggs laid by the mated female underside of the jawar leaves in the form of cluster or two rows, and within a period of 6 days the eggs undergo embryonic development and hatch into a larva called as caterpillar. So caterpillars again undergoes the five moltings and passing through six instars within a period of 3 to 4 weeks inside of the stem of the jawar plant, and then undergoes the pupation for about 7 to 10 days, and during which it is transformed into the adult form and thus repeats the life cycle, or thus life cycle is completed. So the first small figure shows the life cycle of the jawar stem borer Chilozunilus. The next figure, the right hand side figure, shows the Jowar stem borer, the adult moth or the adult insect with a head, thorax, abdomen, and these are the three distinct divisions of the adult moth with a pair of antennae, head with a two pair of head with two compound eyes or one pair of compound eyes, pair of antennae, mouth parts, then followed by thorax with two pairs of wings. The four pair of wing is having straw color and having the numerous shining spots, uh, brown shining spots present along the margin of the four wings, and a second, that is a hind pair of wing which remain underside, which is white or papery, and the third body division, that is abdomen, with about 9 to 10 segments. So the adult moth, which is having a light brown or the straw color of the forewings or the body, and with a 3 centimeter width when wings are expanded. Then the larval stage can also be seen inside of the jawar shoot, uh, which is probably feeding onto the central pith, and thus stops or passage or the conduction of the water and mineral from the land towards the tip of the plant, and this ultimately leads into a dead heart. So because of feeding onto the central pith or the central portion or the conducting part of the shoot or the stem of the jawar plant, the growing part or the growing shoot of the jawar plant dries or dies, and this happens due to the formation of dead heart in the jawar stem. So this is what about the life cycle of the jawar stem borer. Then we'll explain regarding the nature of damage. Newly hatched caterpillars initially feed on the leaves, causing numerous small holes in the leaf lamina, and attacks all parts of the jawar plant except the roots. So immediately after hatching, the young larva or the early stage or the first instar larva or the caterpillar of the jawar stem borer feeds on the tender leaves and then feeding onto the different parts of the jawar plant or the young seedlings of the jawar plant except the roots. If the number of larvae is more in a crop, that can destroy the all smaller plants or the young seedlings in the initial phase of the jawar crop or in the early week just after sowing. Within a period of week, the small jawar plants or the seedlings that are completely fed or consumed by the uh, caterpillars of the jawar stem borer. So, in the initial phase, the early larvae feeding on the young leaves of the jawar plants and then feeding onto the different parts, even whorl or the young shoot or the stem that is also consumed by the newly hatched caterpillars. The larvae on entering the leaf whorl and cut the leaves. So, on the larvae on entering the leaf or whorl, that is the growing part of the jawar plant, then it also cutting the leaves and which on emergence manifest characteristic pin holes, shoot holes and the longitudinal streaks along the shoot. At times or during the course of time of this feeding of the young caterpillars, the growing point is cut, which results in drying of the central shoot and subsequently formation of dead heart. The larvae, after entering the stem, feed on the tissues or the central pith, and tunnels or galleries are formed in the central portion of the jawar shoot, and on feeding of the internal tissues or the central pith of the shoot of the jawar plant, the conduction of the water or the nutrients will stop from the roots to the tip of the plant and ultimately this result into wilting or drying of the growing tip or the growing portion or the growing part of the jawar plant called as dead heart. Then control measures. So first we'll explain about the culture methods. So culture methods, there are some measures which can be employed for the control of the jawar stem borer as a cultural practice. So first one, that is hand picking or light trapping of the adult moths and collection of their eggs for the destruction. So in the initial phase of the development of the jawar crop, we can collect or uh, pick up the adult moths or the eggs. We can collect the eggs or the adults either by hand picking or a light trapping of the adult moths, and which are then simply destroyed or killed by using or dipping them in a in insecticidal water. So burning of another cultural practice that can also be practiced for the control of the jaw stem borer, that is burning of stubbles and trash. Burning of stubbles and trash. These are the remaining parts of the jawar plant after harvesting. So after harvesting of the jawar, the whatever the stubble and trash remaining in the field, that can be collected and burnt so so as to destroy the hidden stages, hidden larvae or the eggs or the pupae of the jawar stem borer, which are occurring uh, in the uh, in the trash or the stubbles of the jawar crop, and which acts as the source of infestation for the next crop, and that's why which could be burnt completely so as to avoid the infestation of the jawar crop of the next year. Then third practice, cultural practice, that is changing the sowing and harvesting timing reduce the infestation. So we can change the sowing time and the harvesting time so as to avoid the occurrence or the attack of the Jowar stem borer uh, during the certain period. So that period, the period during which usually the Jowar stem borer become active or infesting the Jowar crop, and that time or that period can be avoided for the sowing or harvesting. Uh, that is also a cultural practice and which can also help to minimize or to control the infestation of the Jowar stem borer in the Jowar crop. Then crop rotation is another cultural practice that does not allow the pest of one crop to survive next year for lack of its host. So crop rotation. So on changing the crop pattern, we can also avoid the attack of these pests. Growing resistant varieties of jowar like CHS7, CH8, Indian sorghum types IS 5566, 5285 and 5613. So these are the some uh, resistant varieties of the jowar uh, which can be grown uh, so as to avoid the infestation or the attack of the Jowar stem borer. So these are the 5 different cultural practices which could help in controlling the attack or the infestation of the Jowar stem borer in the Jowar crop. Then chemical methods. For the chilo or the Jowar stem borer, on a jowar crop, a spray of 0.05% linden, a spray of 0.05% linden or 0.1% endosulfan on 15 days old jowar plant has been found effective. So, in the initial phase of growth of the crop, we can spray the insecticides such as 0.05% linden or 0.1% endosulfan on 15 days old crop, and it is found to be effective in controlling uh, the Jowar stem borer. And this may be followed after another fortnight or 15 days with a second application of 10% linden or 4% endosulfan granules. So, if there is a uh, attack of the pest or if the pest is noticed even after the first spray, the second spray of the same insecticides but increasing the concentration of the spray, we can use the second application of the 10% linden or 4% endosulfan granules as a second application after fortnight or 15 days as a second dose, or a third application with a 0.2% carbaryl spray may be carried out if found necessary. So these are the 3 applications of the different insecticides or the pesticides so as to control the jowar stem borer in the initial phase of the crop growth or the jowar crop. So the first application 0.05% or 0.05% linden or 0.1% endosulfan on 15 days old plant or the crop. Then second spray if required after 15 days, the application of 10% linden or 4% endosulfan granules can also be applied as a second application or second spray. Then a third application of 0.2% carbaryl spray may be carried out if found necessary. If the crop infestation is noticed, if the crop infestation is noticed, dusting of crop in the early stage with a 10% BHC benzene hexachloride at the rate of 25 kg per hectare or spraying the crop with 350 to 400 ml of aldrin or dialdrin in a 200 liter of water helps to control the pest. So these are the different type of pesticides or the insecticides which can be applied or used time to time to control the jowar stem borer from the jowar crop. Then biological control or the biological method. The Hymenoptera, these are also the insect belonging to order Hymenoptera, which includes bees and wasps. So the Trichogramma minutum, the Hymenopteran insect Trichogramma minutum, is employed as an egg parasite. So this particular insect Trichogramma minutum feeding onto the eggs of the jowar stem borer and helps in reducing the number of the jowar stem borer in the field. Then another hymenopteran insect, that is wasp, namely Appentelis flavipus and brevicornis So these are the two type of wasp which are also belonging to order Hymenoptera of class Insecta and which can be employed as a larval parasites. So the larvae of the jowar stem borer can be consumed by these two type of wasp and which will also help uh, in reducing the pest population in the jowar crop. Then thirdly, the lady beetles belonging to order Coleoptera class Insecta. So the lady beetles, namely Coccinella septempunctata, then Menochilus and Sex maculata have been recorded predating on early stages of the larvae of this pest. So the lady beetles belonging to different group, that is Coccinella septempunctata, Menochilus and the Sex maculata, can be employed as a larval parasite and which can predate or feed onto the early stages of the jowar stem larvae of the jowar stem borer. So these are the different type of insects or the natural enemies which could be identified, the different type of natural enemies of the various pest could be identified. And in case of jowar stem borer, these are three type of insects, uh, that is hymenopteran insects or the beetles, which are found to be feeding onto the eggs and larvae of the jowar stem borer, and thus intentionally we can employ these insects as a natural enemies or the predators of the eggs and the uh, predators of the eggs and the larvae of the jowar stem borer. So this can also be practiced to some extent to control the jowar stem borer. So this is about the uh, crop pest jowar stem borer. So today we'll stop here. Next time we'll explain the second crop pest, that is red cotton bug. So today we'll stop here. Thank you.